All right, you guys, this is Mr. Ainsworth. We're going to get into Mastery 1, solving equations here in Math 90. Yes, I said Math 90 here. Okay, so do yourself a favor. Get yourself a red pen. All right, correct. In red. All right, why is that? Well, you need to know where your mistakes are. Okay, so let's write that down. You need to know, okay, where your mistakes are. That's why. You don't erase your mistakes, all right? You highlight them in red. You know what you're good at and what you're not, and you try to improve. And so remember that. The key to learning in the learning process here is improvement. Okay, everybody makes mistakes, even me. However, you just got to remember one thing. You got to realize you make them sometimes. You got to find them, and then you got to correct them, and then you got to do something to prevent it from happening again. All right. So the first step in any learning process is to grade your own work. All right. Highlight your mistakes, don't erase them, and actually correct them off to the side. So get your red pen out and do a good job. So here we go. We're getting ready not only for our chapter 3 test, but also for the final as well, because the final is 2 weeks away. So keep that in mind. Okay, so solving each equation. So I'm going over all the basics. These first are simple one-step basic equations, okay? When you have negative 15 equals n plus 1, all right, all you do is add the opposite. The opposite of a plus 1 is a negative 1. That's it, okay? A negative plus a negative is a bigger negative, so you get negative 16 is equal to n. Why is that? Well, opposites always combine to 0, right? 1 plus negative 1 or 1 minus 1 is obviously 0, okay? Basic concept number 1. All right, number 2, you got 13 times a number equals 156. All right, so what do? Well, you have to understand that 13p means 13 times p, okay? And the inverse of multiplying by 13, well, it's called dividing by 13. Okay, so let's get started here. All right. So we have 13 times p equals 156. You got to divide both sides by 13, all right, because that's the inverse of multiplication, all right, as I keep on repeating myself saying. All right, and if you don't know what 156 divided by 13 is, I'll allow you guys to use simple calculators. I mean, just get through the test and learn the algebraic techniques. That's what I'm asking. All right, and we'll get through the simple arithmetic too as well. Okay, and so let me see, 13. Let's see, take 156 divided by 13. Well, 10 times 13 is 130, all right, so it's got to be bigger than 10. 11 times 13 is 143, so it's got to be bigger than 11. So let's try 12. Okay, 12 times 13. Multiply and see what you get. Got to fix that. All right, 3 times 12 is 36. 1 times 12 is obviously 12, and lo and behold, you get 156. All right, so there you go. I just did it without a calculator. So you get p is equal to 12. All right, take your answer, substitute back in to check. Is 13 times 12 156? The answer is obviously yes, because I just did it in front of you. Okay, all right. The next one, let's take negative 3 equals b minus 10. It says b minus 10. So what do? Do the inverse, right? Inverse of subtracting 10 is adding 10. All right. So you get negative 3 plus 10, which is 7. I've got a computer issue here, so what's going on here? So you got 7 is equal to b right here. That makes sense because 7 minus 10 is negative 3, right? You just take your answer and substitute it back in. All right. Substitute back in to check. All right, that's another basic skill. Take your answer and see what makes sense. Like on number 4, what number divided by 4 equals 12? Well, it's got to be bigger than 4, right? Because a number divided by 4 equals 12, it's got to be bigger than 4 because we're talking about division here. All right, and so you want to multiply both sides by 4. So multiply the left, multiply the right. All right, simplify. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times k is typically k, and 4 times 12, that's 48. 4 times 12, that's 10 plus, 40. 4 times 10 is 40, plus 8 more, and that's 48. Go right to left. Left to right. I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. So k equals 48. That makes sense. 48 divided by 4 is 12. So once again, you take it and substitute it back in to check. And again, even on the first one here, you take it back in, negative 16 plus 1, that's negative 15. You can always check your answer in these. Okay, let me write that down. You can always, all right, check your result. All right, it's the easiest thing in the world. All right, all you have to do is care enough about checking your work and then actually make it happen. So do that, okay? All right, proportions. No worries about this one. We're just going to cross multiply and divide. All right, I don't care what proportion you have, whether it's Algebra 1 or Calculus. It's a simple two-step procedure. All right, well, the first two steps, that is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the numbers on the, take the cross products here, and then take 6 times 10, and then 2 times 7x. So 2 times 7x is equal to 6 times 10. Cross multiply. So simplify here, you get 14x equals 60. Step 2, this is step 1 obviously. Step 2 is called division, right? 14 times x, well, you got to divide by 14. 60 divided by 14 is 5, because, no, not 5. Well, let's just simplify. So let's do this. So let's try 4. 4 times 14 is 56. Remainder 4. All right, 4 and 14ths. All right, so we get x is equal to 4 and 4/14. Simplify 4 and 2/7. And then you always want to check your answers, right? So well, you don't have the answer. So here we go. There we go, 4 and 2/7. Just divide and simplify. Always simplify your answer. Okay, same thing on the next one. Right here, all proportions are done the same way. All right, so here we go. 9 times n is called 9n. 6 times 2 is usually 12. And then you divide by 9 and simplify your answer. All right, 12 ninths is 1 and 3 ninths, which is 1 and 1/3. Okay, 12 divided by 9 divides 1 time. If you subtract, you get remainder 3. So 1 and 3 ninths. And then simplify your answer. Okay, always do that. Okay, next one. You got some parentheses here you got to deal with. So you got to distribute twice. As I always let you guys know, anytime you see a binomial, you got to multiply through twice. Distribute. And when I say that, that means multiply. All right, twice. Not once, but twice, because there's 2 terms in here. It's called a binomial. So negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative times a negative is a positive, so negative 6 times negative 6 is 36, and that's equal to 84. Okay, add the opposite. Okay, and then, by the way, like I said, 84, all right, minus 36. All right, what does that equal? Well, it's 48. So you get negative 6 times x equals 48. And just think about it. Negative 6 times what number gives you 48? Because this is times, right? Negative 6 times what number? Well, it's got to be negative 8, because we should all know that 6 times 8 is 48. So the answer's got to be negative 8, because we know a negative times a negative is a positive. So you need to learn how to think about it. I mean, you could divide by negative 6, but you're going to get x equals negative 8. So anytime you see paren, you got to distribute through the constant in front and simplify first. Like on this next one here, you got to do the same thing. You get negative 90 is equal to 1 minus 7 times 3r there is 21r. Be careful here. A negative 7 times a negative 5 is a positive 35. Okay, positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. All right. So in this one here, you got to collect like terms before you should do anything here. I see 1 plus 35. 1 plus 35 is usually 36. All right, especially today. So you got 36, all right, minus 21r. Then add the opposite again, just like you did on the previous one. The opposite of 36 is negative 36. All right, and simplify. So you got a negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. Negative 90 and negative 36 is a negative 126. And again, even if you're weak on the addition, it doesn't matter. Use a calculator, for God's sake. Just go ahead and enter it in, all right, and add it to negative 36. Like I just said, look at the calculator on the screen here. I just typed in exactly what I see, all right, and you hit the button, and it says negative 126. So when in doubt, use a calculator. Just make sure you learn the algebraic steps, because that is important. You're not going to graduate the course from not knowing how to do the steps. Okay, that's prerequisite for going into your next class on Math 96. This is all elementary basic algebra, okay, guys? So this is negative 21r, or times r equals negative 126. You got to divide both sides by negative 21. And then you already got negative 126 in there, so just divide it by negative 21. Look at this right here. Just step it out, and you get 6, right? Because 6 times 21 is 126. All right, so r is equal to 6. There we go. Okay, on this next one here, you got negative 24 is equal to, let me see here, a times 2 is 16. 8 times 2r is 16r. Distributing here, we got negative 6r, and then a positive 48, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, collecting like terms. Okay, we got to collect like terms. Look at that right there. Those are like terms, and the 16 plus the 48, those are like terms. So negative 24 is equal to 16 plus 48, which is 10 and 14. 10, not 10 and 14. 10 and 40 is 50, plus the 6 and 8 is 14. So 50 plus 14, 64. All right. And then here in blue, you got minus 16r minus 6r. That's a minus 22r. Because if you owe 16 and you owe 6, that means you owe 22. Okay, so you got to collect like terms. Look at, I'll even color code it for you. All right, so it's all color coded there. And then you got to add the opposite like we always do. So subtract 64. All right, and then once again, look at this. You got a negative plus a negative, which is a bigger negative. So you got negative 88. So negative 88 is equal to negative 22r. And then here it should be obvious. Negative 22 times 4 is negative 88. So r is 4. If you don't see that, then divide by negative 22. And you get 4 is equal to r. Okay? I'll even do it in front of you here. So negative 88 divided by negative 22 gives you 4. That's all there is to it. You just got to get good at it. Okay, so here negative 16 is equal to 3 right here minus 9a. Notice that I distributed twice. And then here I get minus 8a and then plus 32. Once again, you add like terms. So 3 plus 32 are like terms, and then the variables are like terms. So always combine like terms. Okay, so there we go. Let's do it. 3 and 32 is 35. Minus 9 and a minus 8 is a minus 17a. Just like on the previous one, I mean, look at these. It's the same stuff every single time. Add the opposite. All right, what do you get? You get negative 51 here is equal to negative 17 times a. If you know 3 times 17 is 51, then the answer is 3, because 3 times negative 17 is negative 51. Or you can divide, and then, use a calculator if you want. So negative 51. Okay, you got a little, come on, computer issue here. Come on, get going here. Whoops. It's too slow. Divided by negative 17 is 3. So a equals 3. There you go. All right, last two, distributing through. So you get 32k here minus 8. 4 times 2 is usually 8. It equals negative 35 plus 5k. All right, let's gather up the like terms here. So let's subtract 5k and gather up the k's. Notice that I line up like terms here. So let me line that, write that down. You got to always line up like terms. Why? You can only add like terms. So line up like terms. Very important about that. So these cancel, and you get 32 minus 5, which is 27k, minus 8 equals negative 35. Add the opposite again, and you get 27k is equal to a negative 27. And if you know that 1 times 27 is 27, then k has to be negative 1. That's how you're going to get the negative. 27 times negative 1 is negative 27. Or you can just be robotic and divide by that, and you get k is equal to negative 1. So once again, I just keep on repeating the same techniques. What you guys need to do is actually get good and practice and focus on quality work by checking. Most of you guys don't check your work, and that's why you keep on repeating the same mistakes. So you got to check your work for quality, find your mistakes early, and fix them. Okay? On this next one here, we got 6x plus 3 equals negative 7x plus 4x here, distributing through, and then minus 24. Once again, you got to add like terms. So you have 6x plus 3 is equal to negative 3x minus 24. So I just combine like terms there. Negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. And then let's gather up to the x's and the variables on the left-hand side. All right, you get 9x here plus 3. These cancel and equals negative 24. Add the opposite again, and you get 9x is equal to negative 27. And if you know that 9 times 3 is 27, then you know the answer is negative 3, because 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. So, or you can divide by 9 and you'll get the same answer, negative 3. Okay, my friends, so this is a video. So what you guys need to realize is this. It's a video, and you can pause and play and rewind it and go through it again as many times as you want. And I suggest you do that, because the whole goal is mastering the process. The numbers don't matter. The process does. So if you can handle any one of these easily right here, then no matter what I give you that are similar, you should be able to do, if you know the process. All right, so focus in on the process, correct your work in red, find your mistakes early so you don't repeat them, okay? That is a bad thing, okay? It's not called learning, it's called getting worse. All right, so find your mistakes, do yourself a good job in your review, practice, and I'll see you in the next mastery. This is Ainsworth. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.